Good morning, everybody. I wanted to talk to you about study skills, and thanks for watching. First of all, I wanted to talk about Benjamin Bloom. He was an educating philosopher from the 1950s, and he talked about usage of brain power. The more brain power you use, the more the content will stick in your head. Let me tell you about what this infographic represents. Down at the bottom is not a lot of use of brain power. Up at the bottom, at the top, is a lot of brain power being used. And the activities that you would do to use that amount of brain power are indicated over here on the right-hand side. When you define terms, okay, yep, it's sticking in your head, but not necessarily as long as you would like. When you memorize information, you know that as well as I do, that memorizing does not stick in your head unless you tend to use that information for a long period of time. When you classify information, when you describe things, when you explain things, when you comprehend your reading, you're using more brain power. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because down here is remembering. So reading is two steps. One, knowing the words, and two, comprehending. So when we look at the words, we are recalling those words. That's the part where not a lot of brain power is being used. But when you actually comprehend the material, well, there you go. You're going to be learning that material a little deeper than you would just memorizing those words. When you apply the information, when you can read about a concept and apply it to a different time period, say history. When you learn something about physics, how does it apply in a different situation? When you learn about different, say, mental conditions, think about your family members, or relate it to celebrities, somehow relate it to your life. That will also help you not only ramp up the usage of brain power, which will make it stick in your head a little longer, but also make it a little more interesting. Analyze, that is another level of usage of brain power. When you organize things, when you compare and contrast things, when you question the text. So evaluate, when you have to defend your position with credible sources, that's using a lot of brain power. And then when you create things, that's also evidently the highest usage of brain power. Just keep these in mind. These activities, this is sort of like the foundation of my presentation. So just another topic, Pomodoro method. This is a method where you take 25 minutes and study hard, put that phone down, take off the notifications, just study hard for 25 minutes, and then take a 5-minute break. Now, personally, I need to take more time. I need to study for 40 minutes and take a 15-minute break. I've heard students who do like say an hour and then a half an hour break, whatever works. If you have a test, talking about timing, start early. And we're going to go a little more like, what do you do? So we'll start with that in just a second. Hermann Ebbinghaus, his theory was that repetition is key. So once you take your notes, then you're going to go over those notes every day. Like I just said, you start studying for a test a week in advance. Okay, you do the heavy annotating, the heavy preparation of study materials at the very beginning, and then you go over that material every single day for an hour or more, or if you can have to do less, then you do less. You do what you can. Diversify those study methods. Oh my gosh, you know as much as I do that our attention span is short. So like, okay, you got your study materials, you're reading, okay, fine, I'm bored. Okay, Mo, go to Khan Academy. Maybe they have a different video you can watch, something you can read that might add maybe a little more information to it. Okay, I'm bored with Khan Academy. All right, go quiz yourself with Quizlet. No, because it's a quiz and it's memorization, it's not using a lot of brain power, but hey, you're diversifying. It's sort of like driving down the highway and it's boring because you're driving, but hey, there's an accident. Oh my God, I'm going to pay attention to it. So our attention is drawn to diversification. So use that to your advantage when you're studying. It all contributes to your studying. Rewrite your notes. I had a student who told me that they talked to their dog, and they knew when they were BSing the dog. And so they knew that they had to go back and make sure that they learned that material. Have someone quiz you. Use flashcards. People, diss flashcards, but they do have a purpose. You're repeating that information, which is Herman Ebbinghouse's technique. Highlight the stuff in red, highlight the content you kind of know in orange, and highlight the material that you really don't know anything about in yellow. And then as you gradually learn the information better and better, take the highlight of red or orange and re-highlight that information so that it becomes closer to the red, if you understand what I'm saying. Visit the professor. Hey, say you're bored out of your mind with all of those things, go to his, her, or their office hours. Oh my gosh, I'll have a story to tell you about that in a minute. Visit a tutor. Even if you have them in front of you or online, hey, I want you to sit here while I do my work in case I have questions. All right, have them do that. Or have you go ahead and do your work and then have them look it over. What the heck? Maybe they might find some errors or something, or a better way to do things. Watch a YouTube video about the content. Listen to a study station. There's YouTube stations out there. Get a study partner. Yes, there's lame study partners, but try to vet them, just ghost them if they're really not holding up their end of the bargain. But start a group meet. If you're online, go onto the discussion board, say, hey, anybody want a study partner? You're going to have to show some initiative if you really want this academic reputation to kick up a notch. Mention it in class, or even just say hi to people, or smile. Might be kind of weird, but maybe just smile. I know that might be even kind of weird, but you use your body language to show that you're open. And who knows, you might feel comfortable extending yourself, or somebody might approach you. Watch that body language. Body language is 93% of communication. So keep that in mind. Get to know that professor. And oh my gosh, I think they would fall over if a student said good morning or good afternoon or hello when they walked in. I am telling you what, that professor is going to fall over out of shock, and they are going to remember you. And I'll tell you why it's important that they remember you. Go to the professor's office hours. Nobody goes to the office hours. Again, I will tell you why it's good to go to the office hours. 1, make up a question. 2, ask questions, or even just say, hey, I want to know if I got this material correct. Am I understanding this correct? Ask them for tips, tricks, or resources. They might have a great website that will reiterate the information that they're teaching, but just in a little bit different way. Okay, so I want to skip down to the last point. One student I suggested go to the office hours. She did. And the professor was shocked again. And the professor gave the student the questions to the test. I can't believe that happened, but that's what she said. And finally, this is why you want to get to know your professor, not just for all those benefits, but because when an emergency hits in April at the end of the term, you're going to need a favor, and they're going to know you, and they're going to say, hey, this student is a conscientious student. They've been involved. They turn their work in on a regular basis. They're not, missing in action. I'll do whatever I can to help this student to succeed. Reading. Okay, so there is a special way to read a textbook, and there's a slide that's further down that will teach you how to do that. Rewriting notes, you will be able to find holes, oh, well, we were supposed to learn this. I remember the professor talking about it. It was in the book, but where is it on my notes? Oh, there's a hole. I got to go find the answer. And again, that's part of the diversification. Oh, okay, well, it, causes you to go do something else and help you emphasize the information. Annotate. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you to annotate as thoroughly as possible. And the more thoroughly you can annotate, the better. Just pick out stuff that's interesting to you And there will be a benefit to that further down. Or take a note at the patterns, take a note at what is repeated. You'll get the idea. One person, I listened to the video lecture of their professor on their way to go skiing in Marquette. This was during the winter time. And she identified, like she already listened to it, but she knew she was on, she wasn't doing so great in the class. So she listened to the video once, took notes. Okay, I really am struggling in this class. Fine, I'll listen to the video again on the way to Marquette. And she did. And what she picked up on was the repetition of what the professor tended to, of course, repeat, but also the nuances, like the inflection in the professor's voice about what they were passionate about or what they felt was really important. And she identified those patterns, and she kind of knew, like, oh, this, because they repeated this, because they're excited about this, because they emphasize this, I have a feeling this stuff is going to be on the test more than the other information. So think about that. For writing research papers, I cannot tell you how important it is to annotate those texts as thoroughly as possible, because I'm telling you, that is your paper. Like, seriously, that is your paper. You don't have to revisit the entire source, all these sources again. You'll have the paper right in front of you because the important points have already been identified. Start early to mull over a topic, choose something that you're passionate about. Otherwise, it is going to be a chore and a half for you to write and for the professor to read. That passion is not going to be evident, and that passion boosts up that grade. I am telling you what, because it comes through. Talk to people. Go on social media. Check out the resources on the library. What's the chatter out there? The reason why you want to do that is maybe you could get some more ideas to put into your paper, like different body paragraphs. When you look at the library resources, put in your keyword and then take note of the other keywords that pop up. You'll see a pattern of more words that pop up, and then type in those keywords and see what kind of resources pop up. The other thing you can do is, say you find a source that you like. Use that author's resources. Go to their reference sheet and say, oh, well, this is sort of like a shortcut. Some of these sources might be very helpful for my paper. So there's my little plug for research papers. Find pockets of time. The reason why I am in this position is because I had hiccup after hiccup after hiccup. And I really only got my bachelor's just very recently. So, but what I had to do was I'm not going to go into me, but in traffic, like you have a traffic jam, pull your stuff out. You're waiting at the doctor's office, pull your study materials out. Listen to lectures in the car. Waiting for your kid's basketball game to start. Pull your study materials out. Bring your study materials with you wherever you go. And identify those pockets of time. So anyways, some ideas for you to consider. And I just wanted to bring these up, and hopefully this was very helpful to you.